This episode is brought to you by SmartVestor. Connect with an investing pro near you at RamseySolutions.com/SmartVestor.
Raquel is with us in Los Angeles. Hi, Raquel. How are you?
Hi, folks. I'm great. Thank you. Thank you guys for taking my call. How are you guys?
Better than we deserve. What's up?
Amen. So the question I have for you is, my husband and I are 33, and we are possibly considering buying our first home. We would like to put an offer in, but we have the possibility of borrowing $110,000 from my in-laws in order to not touch our last nest egg, which would be a Bitcoin that hopefully will increase in value in the next few years. We can use that Bitcoin, but we are wondering whether or not it would be wise, and we would like your advice.
Okay. So you're brand new to this show?
Brand new.
Okay.
Well, not brand new to Dave Ramsey. I know that you're not a big Bitcoin. I've been listening to you on and off my whole life since, my mother found you.
So you kind of expect me to tell you to sell the Bitcoin.
we kind of.
That'd be fairly predictable if you've been listening at all. Yeah. Okay.
For different reasons, though. I mean, first off, Bitcoin's not a great investment. We would never suggest it.
It's speculation at best. It's not an investment.
And the second reason is, if you have the money, use your money. Why take a loan and risk a relationship being tainted by this, right? From the in-laws especially, when you've got the money today.
Let's reframe it for a second, Raquel. Here's an interesting way to look at it. If you didn't have a Bitcoin, would you go and borrow $110,000 from your in-laws to buy a Bitcoin?
No, for sure no.
That's what you're doing.
Okay.
By not selling it and instead borrowing to do the other thing is the exact same movement. You just skipped a step and acted like it didn't happen. But in essence, you have borrowed the money to buy the Bitcoin, since you could have sold it and not borrowed the money. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
From a decision framework perspective. And so, that reveals how much risk is involved here. So a couple things we've discovered is there's a difference between investing and speculating. Investing is when you have a 5-year or 10-year time horizon with an investment that has a track record, a history of 10 years or so, or 30 years or whatever. For instance, if you're buying a rental property, you would say, okay, I can look at properties in that general area and say over the last 20 years or 30 years they've done this. So, and I have a holding period of 5 or 10 or 20 years on a rental property. That's an investment, a mutual fund that's been open 10 or 15, 20 years. And you can say the track record is X. And based on that, I'm going to buy it not for a short hold, but for a long hold. When you buy something for a short hold to flip it, that's called speculation. It's not called investing. It's not called a nest egg. And so you're giving the wrong names to these things, and that tells us that you put the wrong weight on it. So the fact that the only money that you have is a high risk speculative investment. See, I almost did it. A high risk speculative item is very dangerous for you. That's point number one. Point number two is the borrower is slave to the lender. When you borrow money from someone, you by nature change the quality and the texture of the relationship with them. Your Thanksgiving dinner tastes different when you owe your in-laws $110,000. Right. They look at you going on a cruise differently when you owe them $110,000 than if you don't owe them $110,000. And even if they don't say anything, you can feel the eyes bearing into the back of your soul. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
And so don't change the quality of that relationship, number one. Like Jade said. Number two, don't have your nest egg in something that's built for speculation. If you want to speculate on Bitcoin, it would be a small percentage of your portfolio because you're trying to make quick money on it. It's not a long-term investment horizon. And that doesn't make... So if you want to speculate on it, I'm not going to yell about it. But where I get upset about Bitcoin is when you've got everything you own in it.
Right.
And you're counting on that. And if you go back and look at what short track record we do have on Bitcoin, it's extremely volatile.
Right.
So, I mean, you went to Vegas with your nest egg.
This would be like the last thing. Like we have our assets and like our savings in mostly other things, but like this Bitcoin is like the last thing we're like, oh, we could keep it because it's speculation.
Okay,
And
so how much do
What
you
other
have in your
savings
do you have in your real nest egg? You called that your nest egg.
Yeah, in our real like savings, which would be cashing out most of our like gold and silver, and like that's mostly where our money is $250,000.
You have $250,000 in gold and silver?
Yes, we do.
And
So
how much is
that's
the Bitcoin's 100?
Yes, and then the Bitcoin is just like 100, and that's why.
So you could cash all this and have like 300,000 towards the property.
For the down payment.
That would be a really good move.
Do you have anything in just like mutual funds or just like?
We're newer to mutual funds, and we know we listen to the Ram show, but we mostly are like the tactile, like gold and silver.
What bothers you about them? What spooks you about mutual funds? I'm just curious.
Nothing spooks us. I just don't think that, like my husband's the administrator. I don't think he's just like gotten to the point where he's like, okay, let's sit down and like actually, like invest in them and buy them, because we've just done everything else. Like,
you've done ultra high risk things that are extremely volatile in all three categories compared to more standard investments. And the tortoise wins the race every time I read the book. The tortoise and the hare. And you've got everything over in the hare bucket instead of in the tortoise bucket. And the people that build wealth are not the ones that take as much risk as y'all are taking. So if I could talk you into it, and I doubt I can because I've got the wrong person on the phone, and the other guy's the one doing it. So, but if I could talk you into it, Jade and I both instantly said, sell it all.
Yeah, that's right.
And pay a huge down payment on this house and get you something that's stable. I mean, owning a home in Los Angeles, freaking great investment, a great investment. And that's the direction we would go if we woke up in your shoes. I don't know if I can get you there in one phone call.
Yeah. Well, yeah, she didn't seem like she had any aversion to it. It sounded like the spouse was kind of the one.
Yeah, he's the administrator. Yeah, and so that's, yeah, he's the one that's doing all this stuff. So he's not going to let go of it as quick as she did. But
I have a thought, and I don't know if I mean, they're 33. They're trying to buy their first house, and my guess is they're trying to make a lot of money fast. It's get rich quick, 100%.
Yeah.
And they've been lucky so far, but that is the word.
Yeah.
Luck.
Yeah, because again, if you chart gold, silver, and Bitcoin, and you look at the peaks and the valleys, that jump up and jump down, that represents risk. And you put an overlay on that, like with real estate. Real estate would look seriously boring. If you put an overlay on that with a good growth stock mutual fund, compared to the peaks and the valleys. You'd just see these huge mountains and huge valleys on Bitcoin, gold, and silver, and you would see mutual funds going,
right.
just real steady, over like a 10-year period of time.
Yeah.
And you'd be dizzy with the craziness of gold and the craziness of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And so it's just a high-risk speculative thing. It's not a good investment for that reason. If you want to play roulette, if you want to play Texas Hold'em, if you want to speculate, if you want to do house flips, if you want to do day trading of single stocks, those are all things that fall under the heading of speculation, which speculation is not gambling, but it's more akin to gambling than it is investing. We use the Vegas metaphor, but it is closer to a Vegas roulette wheel than, in terms of risk profile,
of course,
than standard investing. And that's why we would always take you there. So it's an interesting call. Thank you, Raquel.
Good call.
Yeah, and thanks for clarifying with us where you were. But yeah, I don't own any Bitcoin. I don't own any gold except one watch. That's it. I own real estate that's worth probably $600-700 million worth. And I don't buy gold, and I don't buy Bitcoin, and I don't speculate. I don't day trade stocks, and I don't do quick flips. I'm just a long-term boring tortoise, and it's worked really, really well.
Thanks for tuning in to Ramsey Everyday Millionaires. Need help with your investments? Connect with a SmartVestor Pro at RamseySolutions.com/SmartVestor or click the link in the show notes. Ramsey Solutions is a paid non-client promoter of participating pros. Learn more at RamseySolutions.com/SmartVestor.